8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Hi, everyone. We are live.
We are live with our first Investor 101 seminar, Vinnie. I got to say, this should be interesting, huh?
Yeah, so we've done a couple of traditional buyer seminars for first-time home buyers, and we've been getting a lot of interest from people reaching out about kind of going in more depth of maybe your second property, your investment property. So David and myself kind of switched the slides up, brought us some new information to kind of for those individuals that have reached out to us, kind of get more insight. Ready to get going?
Yeah, let's get this started. We know everyone's busy today, and we want to, make use of your time. So let's try it out. Well, so you already own a home, and you know what entailed to get the home. Or if you've watched our other videos, you know the process to get it. And the same things we looked at when you bought your first home is essentially what we'll look at for the second investment property or the first investment property you're buying. But we look at more things more thoroughly, and there's a little bit more layers of complexity. So we're looking at your job and steady income each month. You have a retirement plan and savings. Your home's appreciating in value. You've done all this because you want to create lasting wealth. But now you want to look at it and go, how do you diversify your portfolio to get a better rate of return? And investment properties build wealth.
Yeah, I mean, if you've owned your property for an extended amount of time, you've probably seen that equity grow, especially if you bought it the last, 7, 8 years. I mean, or really 10 years. You've seen that equity grow, and so now you're kind of looking for other opportunities to purchase. Also, too, if you're watching right now, feel free to comment if you have any questions, and we're watching the comment section.
There we go.
So yeah, so some of the biggest questions we get is how do investment properties build wealth? Well, cash flow. So you can look at strictly cash flow in a purchase, right? Airbnbs, I think, is a very popular avenue currently at this time, but just traditional rentals.
I think we're gonna have to work on making those little 1 and 2 bigger, I think, Vinny.
Yeah, I mean, this is a work in progress, but yeah, as you can kind of see, so rental properties create cash flow. Rental properties have the ability to increase cash flow by rent increases. Average San Diego rent is $18.52 to $27.50. So you really want to look at kind of your returns off your purchase, and you want about a 5% cap, if not more. So the average yearly San Diego rent increase, 4.1, 2.7 in a bad time. Rents, always going up. You have to have a place to live, so rent's always going up. I'm always hesitant, and we've talked about in the buyer seminars about projecting where the future is going to be. Yet, if you looked over the last 5, 10, 15 years, you've seen rent increases, which they're probably going to see that. But look at the present time with the hope of future growth.
And it's also important to consider, like, we put the lower rent appreciation in there because we're taking into effect the current market, the pandemic, and everything else, which unfortunately, means there will be some people leaving San Diego, but also some people coming here for new jobs that are created by this whole pandemic. And one thing historically, when you look at San Diego, our rents don't go down in a negative fashion. In fact, if you look at rents during the housing meltdown, 2008 to 2010, they went up because people lost their houses, and then there was a shortage of rentals, and your rental property value went up. So that's another interesting thing to think about with investment properties.
Yeah, and again, I know we said it in the buyer seminars, really focus on the monthly payments, so the rent compared to actually what the property is worth, because there is a difference in a down market and up market, especially if you're getting a single family property or a condo right there, because you're more reliant on actual individuals looking to purchase a property to live in. So as the market goes up, it goes down. I see an adjustment there. So focus more on that monthly payment. That's going to be the biggest thing.
You know, the other thing we can go into, it's your investment properties build wealth. It's future appreciation. Look at the average appreciation in San Diego. That's the historical average, you know, which isn't in all markets, like Vinnie said. But if you're going to look at history and go, what's the average, you know, over 50 years, that's what you're looking at.
Yeah. So this is hard to see, you know, I mean, bad times estimated 0.8% in value loss, in good times, annually about 5% in appreciation. In San Diego, if you've watched our market updates, you've seen that as of recently, we have around 4,800 properties, single family condos, townhomes in the San Diego County area, which, to give you kind of a reference point, as properties are selling, we probably have about 2 months of inventory. As a whole, in a balanced market, you want 6 months of inventory. So being that we're kind of so swayed to that whole seller's market right there, you might not see a too drastic change in pricing. We haven't seen that currently. We'll see how the kind of future goes forward.
That future appreciation is another way also. When you buy the property, people use it as a stepping stone to leverage up from property to property. And you wonder how some people, you know, bought their first investment property, and then 7, 8 years down the road, they have 3 more. Well, that appreciation that the property gains, people will go back into and refinance and pull the money out and buy another property. So the appreciation is huge. And it's also the monthly cash flow is huge, because as you guys have all probably noticed, if you have a 401k right now, it went down in value. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. It's good to diversify assets.
And I think one thing to be careful about, though, is there's a lot of people that speak the idea of what you're saying is you grow that equity, take the equity out of your one property, then purchase another property, take the equity out, pull your next property. And so you're constantly kind of building up and adding on. That can be good, yet also make sure that you're fully protected and have enough money. So if you don't have a renter that month, don't have a renter the following month, or whatever it might be, or an issue comes about, that you're not strapped for cash. Okay.
Ooh, this is great right here. The interesting thing with rental properties is tax write-offs. So when you own your own home, it's not tax deductible except for the interest and the property taxes. But on rental properties, everything becomes a tax write-off. The maintenance, the insurance, the property taxes, the improvements, HOAs, one-time expenses, investments into the property, depreciation, just massive amounts of write-off to help improve your cash flow.
There's quite a list of tax write-offs. Let's see. Oh, there we go. So how do you get started? Yes, you need money. Like we've already talked about, you can pull money out of your current home, a cash out refi, pull money out from an investment account, which David's kind of already talked about, IRA, real estate investment accounts, pull money with other investors to leverage, HELOC on your current home, amazing loan already. Cash is king, but cash flow is magic. Yeah, I mean, it's if you bought your property maybe 10 years ago, you probably have some sort of equity in there. With rates as they currently sit, it might be an avenue to refi, take some money out of your property to purchase another property. You want to look at it, though, if you do refi your property, that your amortization is going to start over. If you take out a HELOC on your property, then you're going to keep your original loan in place. So something to really factor in when you're talking to your lender to figure out what's the best avenue for you for your next purchase.
Yeah, super important to cash flow, because if you don't have cash, you can't make repairs, you can't make upgrades, and you can't prepare for rainy days. And as we're all experiencing right now, you have this black swan event of a rainy day that hit. And if you did not have cash right now, it's a little bit of a tougher time. And, you know, my heart, Vinny, we both have a lot of empathy towards those that are in rougher times right now. Those of you who are watching this are probably in a different boat because you're looking at investing your money. But cash is king. You always want to keep cash on hand, especially with investment properties.
Now, Zillow, okay, you can love them, you can hate them. Most realtors, hate's a strong word we dislike, especially the estimates, but they do have some quality information out there. So the median home price, 680. So it's fairly high. You do see a lot of the higher end properties kind of pulling it up at this current time. If you've been watching again our market updates, you've seen that the rate properties have been going on the market compared to actually selling has actually been kind of sitting steady over this quarantine time frame right there. So there are properties out there. You probably have some value in your property. If you're just curious of what your property is worth, not what people are asking for, but what your property is actually worth, feel free to reach out to myself. Love to kind of talk to you, give you an idea. Once we get an idea of what kind of equity you have in there, then we can kind of talk to David and take the next step.
And that map right there, we put that up there because it's also interesting when you look at the location of San Diego, look at the location of how close we are to the water and how close you are also to the mountains, the desert. So you have beach, mountain, deserts. So that's why people move to San Diego. Our weather is optimal. And that's why a lot of times if you buy further inland, like way outside San Diego, they don't have the same rate of appreciation. They don't have the same rate as rents, nothing, because you're buying San Diego because it's a very small area with a lot of benefits to everyone, which is that's why our home prices are so expensive here. Oh, this is a good one, Vinny. And gotta tell you, we gotta really work on that font because I don't have Superman vision, and that's really small.
Oh, wait a second. So we got a question from Michael. Does the housing shortage in California mean that homeowners will feel more confident in an appreciation in value? Again, there's so many people out there that like to make assumptions of kind of what happened the last 15 years. That's one of the easiest way to sway someone to purchase. Go, well, if this happened the last 15 years, just imagine what's gonna happen the next 15 years. And I think that's a really tough way to sell it. And if we're trying to give you the honest information right there, yes, having a housing shortage has helped the market, yet we don't know how all these forbearances are going to play in effect, how people losing their businesses are going to play into effect in the future housing market, if we're going to see short sales again, if we're going to see basically REOs, foreclosures. So a lot of that stuff is going to play a factor into where the values are going in the future. But at this current time, we have such a shortage in housing in San Diego. So we've seen the market stay fairly consistent to before we had COVID going on. Yet the one thing that was interesting, if you saw our last market update, we did see a big influx in new properties hitting the market. So we'll see how that plays out over the next week or two. People that were scared of putting their house on the market, this might change what's going on.
We also had that 6% appreciate or not 6% move up and people applying for mortgages for purchase, which is huge. 6% increase in applications to purchase homes in 1 week. That's a lot.
So do you want the highest monthly cash flow? Do you want the ability to be able to increase your yearly rent? Or do you just want to get in with your first property and then later planning on cash flow because of rent increases? So this right here, I think, is a very particular question. You could probably one of the better returns is going to be Airbnbs. Yet a lot of people right now, because everything's going on, the quarantine, not a lot of people traveling has affected a lot of people. This is an outlier of the norm. Yet people that had that individuals in the 6-month year leases are not seen as drastic of an effect of what's going on with a lot of Airbnbs. Also to growth potential in areas that are being quote unquote gentrified. That can also help out with future growth and rent increases.
Should be a couple other, you hit there we go. So it does look at what is most important to you about the investment property. Like Vinnie was saying, is it the cash flow or is it the yearly appreciation? I know Vinnie loves using the gentrified word. It's kind of complex for us more simple people, but it does look at appreciation is did you buy in that gentrified area and you bought when it was bad and all of a sudden it's good and you made a lot of money in appreciation? It just depends on your goals with the investment properties. Like, what is your goal?
Yeah, I mean, you can get into a property that's going to have a great cap, if based off of how you're structuring. So you really want to dissect what you're looking to do with your realtor and also your lender. Buy an area with lower appreciation because of pricing, like the ups and flows of like the Arizona market, right? Not San Diego market, the Arizona market. They're downward market. I mean, when they were at the bottom, it wasn't that bad compared to when they're at the top. In San Diego, we have bigger drops just because we have those higher appreciation in the good times. So, is it safety of investment?
That's a good one right there, Vinny, because you think about it, and first of all, you worked hard to get your money. Now you're going to invest it, and you look at these three things: is it the cash flow, is it the appreciation, or is it the safety? So we put safety in here. Me and Vinny, we talked about this. It's because some of you will look at it and go, hey, I need to buy an investment property in a neighborhood I would personally want to live in, or I want to buy an area where the rents are so safe and they're going to stay consistent and there's more demand. The safety of the investment is greater. If the safety of the investment is greater, it usually means you're paying more of a premium price, because if the rents are almost guaranteed and the neighborhood is super safe and it's an impeccable area, would you say that's a more expensive property, Vinny?
Yeah. I mean, I think the easiest way to kind of describe it is, let's say you buy a $800,000 property, right? An $8,000 property, you could buy an $800,000 single family home in a quote unquote good community, right? And in that area, 800,000, you're probably gonna be able to get a consistent renter that's gonna pay a high monthly payment for 6 to a year, right? Now, let's say you use that same 800,000 right there and buy a fourplex in a quote unquote lesser of a community, right? Which all communities, it's basically off each individual. Yet, let's say you can get a fourplex for 800,000 in the community. That base rent is going to be higher more than likely in that fourplex right there, because there's the farther you go down in pricing, the more people that can afford that rent price. The higher you go in pricing, the less people can afford that rent price. That makes sense?
You know what? You did a good job explaining that. Let me see if I can put another kind of spin on to make it more simple. If you look at a fourplex in PB and the amount of rent you pay versus a fourplex in, let's say, Santee, the rents can be totally different. PB, way more expensive. Santee, way cheaper. You know, you may love living in Santee and go, hey, that's where I want to live. I love living here. I like the people, the restaurants. I like the trolley. Or you may be the person that goes, hey, I want to live in PB because I want to be by the beach. Then you're paying an astronomical premium for that rent.
But more likely, based off how you're doing it, your cap rate actually might be better in Santee, right? What you bought the property for compared to what you're able to rent it out for compared to Pacific Beach. Yet it might be more stable in Pacific Beach. So it's something really to factor into what you're looking to do, what you're looking to get out of this investment.
That's the safety of the investment. It's if you can afford to pay $3,000 in rent, that's a lot of money in rent compared to the individual or couple that pays $2,000 in rent. So it all comes. That safety is another factor to think about. Safety of your investment that you buy. And
then need maintenance of the property. Now, you could be a slumlord, which I would not recommend, or you could be someone that has an up property, clean property, move-in ready property that should be fairly self-sustainable. If you're a quote unquote slumlord, it's going to be lower maintenance on your property and higher return for yourself. Yet you're not going to be able to rent it out at a high enough price. I mean, as higher price as the other avenue. And then types of tenants. In college area, some renters, some landlords will look at dissect a property saying, okay, well, for each individual I'm going to rent it out for, I mean, 5 bedrooms, each bedroom I'm going to charge $700. Now I can do $3,500 as a rental for that property. In other communities, you're looking at breaking down the numbers more so off of a family, what they can qualify for. So you're going to dissect what you can get it rented for, compare it based off of different communities. More than likely, I mean, a college student might not keep your property as clean as maybe a family. Yet
You don't think so?
generalizing. You never know for sure. So it's dissecting each tenant, really knowing what you're looking to get at them. But make sure you have a good tenant that can play big time.
Make sure you screen your tenants and that you do background checks on them. And, you know, Vinnie or myself, we can help you out with that, because you do want to screen people to get in there. Because like Vinnie was mentioning, the college student that goes to SDSU is probably not going to take as good care of your house as the family with, you know, 2 kids and a wiener dog.
Well, and the thing is, it could be, I mean, that's a strict generalization too. You could find a great college kid that takes impeccable condition of your property, yet you could also find basically a family that's going to destroy your property. So screening is huge. And some people are willing to actually charge a little bit less on their rent, so they know they have a good tenant in the property that's going to be there for, I mean, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, compared to charging a little more of a premium on your rent and having a turnover every year. Because you got to. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I know myself as an example. I was doing a rental property I rented specifically to military because I knew that it was always paid on time and they kept impeccable condition of the place. And I gave them a discount to stay there. It was $300 less than what I would have charged a normal person.
I don't know the legality of that, but
I'm the owner. I can decide what I want to charge.
Oh, well, that's true. That's true.
You know, I'm the owner. I have the right to pick the rent I'm going to charge.
You're giving back to the military.
That's super important.
Okay, so now that you thought of your goals, which property is right? Okay, so you got the single family, you got the duplex, then you have the 3-plex or 4-plex. Now, again, each property is going to be a little different. Also, the starting price is probably going to be a little higher based off of the community you're looking to purchase in. So again, we want to dissect what kind of what you can afford, and also what you're looking to get out of it. Usually, the higher price, it's going to have a higher cap rate, being that less people can purchase a property at a higher price point. So things to factor in.
Totally. And if you look at those pictures, those are San Diego type neighborhoods and homes. Some of you may even be able to figure out where they're at. But they are more like very unique. Some places look like some areas right around here, houses you would exactly buy, are possible duplexes in North Park you may buy, are places that have been totally renovated, like those 3 to 4 units that you have now in PB, you have in Hillcrest, you have in North Park once again. And you think of it this way. Actually, let's go to the slides. It's going to go into my train of thought right there. There we go.
So each one of these slides comes with a different upside and downside. You want to walk us through?
Yeah, I'll walk you through this. So as we had the previous slide, single-family homes are easier to maintain. They're lower cost to buy, easier entry point, but you only have one renter, which means you have one source of money coming in. Duplexes are more expensive to buy. They usually have a little more maintenance, but you have 2 renters. So you have 2 sources of cash coming in from each renter, which decreases risk. 3 to 4 unit properties, entry point is substantially higher. You have more maintenance on it. It's a bigger building. It has more activity on it. But now you have 3 to 4 renters. That's 3 to 4 different sources of cash flow. So the more units you buy, the more you diversified your cash flow, the more that if things go wrong, it's like if you buy a single family house and the renter moves out, that's it. You're paying the mortgage. You have a 4-unit place and 1 renter moves out, you still have rent from 3 people. So this kind of pony rides back to what me and Vinnie were going over is, what is your appetite for risk? You know, when you look at it, do you sleep better at night with your first investment property going, you know what, it's 1 person, it's 1 renter, it's 1 house, I can take care of it? Or do you go, oh my gosh, if that guy moves out, I got to pay $2,500. Or do you go in it bigger and go, I want to buy a 3-unit place, and look at it and go, I have 3 different things, 3 different renters, and go, if one moves out, still got 2 more. It comes down to, how do you sleep at night, and what do you think's better for your situation and the first time buying an investment property?
Yeah, and I mean, maybe you want to take it to the next level. Maybe you want to get 8 units. I mean, if that's what you're looking to do, feel free to reach out. We can kind of walk you through of what kind of capacity you have to purchase, also where you want to be with risk-wise. Cash flow is queen.
I did that.
Like king, right?
Fair. Well, I wanted to be fair. Me and you were all about being fair, so we can't say cash flow is king without cash flow is queen. So I just put that in there.
So is there a wrong property to start with? Of course there is. Remember your goals here and your financial situation. Can you afford to lose a renter? Do you have reserves for things to go wrong? They will. Yeah. Can you bootstrap, or do you work yourself on property? Do you have patience to work with people? I mean, these are all questions you have to ask yourself. I think one of the biggest things to be very careful about is the idea that you're going to roll the dice on future growth of the rental. I mean, be comfortable in that monthly payment now, and also slowly start putting money away into a savings account, something to protect you if there's something that goes wrong. Also, too, if you have a property manager, I mean, if you're going to do a property management, you don't want to do it yourself, you can. Be aware you are going to have to pay a monthly fee right there based off the property manager, and they can help oversee getting the property rented, also oversee any kind of issues that come about on a daily, weekly, monthly basis.
Yeah, it's your first property it's a key determiner to make sure that you build yourself up for success for the next one and have good experience.
Cash flow, take advantage, appreciation, mortgage reduction, equity capture.
All things to think about. Really important. It's a bigger picture here. Let's look at some ways to prevent you from choosing the wrong property. This is key. This is where your real estate agent is platinum, not gold. You need to go platinum. I know that in this time, everyone looks at different valuable things. The realtor is platinum value. You need to work with someone that knows the neighborhoods. You need to know that. Super important.
Know the area you're buying in. What's the average income? What's the average rent paid? What is the crime rate? Crime Spot is a great platform to take a look at stuff. I mean, again, if you're going to look at Crime Spot, look at the area that you currently live in, and then look at that community right there. That's going to help you out greatly. What is the rate of appreciation? Average renter turnover. I mean, if you charge a little bit less of a premium on the rent, it's going to save you the time to find a new renter. Also, if you don't have that overlap and you're losing a month rent, let's say you're charging $2,500 a month, right? Or that's what it can go for, but you're actually charging $2,300. Okay, so you're losing about $200 every month. Yet, if you charge the $2,500, maybe you're going to have 1 month of no one living in that property. That's $2,500 right there. Would you rather basically charge maybe $200, $100 less to the renter, knowing that they're going to be there for an extra month, an extra year, extra 2 years, extra 3 years, compared to gain a little bit of more of a premium? So really factor in when you're looking for the right tenant.
Yeah, you want to look at all these different things to really help you prevent yourself losing money, and knowing the property is another key thing. Like you need to look at the property and really understand it. It's, what's the age of your property?
I mean, if it's an older property, I mean, there might be a cast iron piping, and that can be an expensive cost that comes up later on. So factor that in.
What about, oh man, deferred maintenance, another key thing. You look at things, Vinnie, and I'm sure you've seen this over and over. You look at a great house and you're like, this place is great. It needs a new roof. Deferred maintenance.
There are roof warranties you can get. So let's say there's different contractors, different roofers out there that if there's some repairs that need to be done, they might be able to charge a little bit of extra on it. And so you have a little bit of a warranty if the roof goes belly up. So talk to a roofer, see what kind of capacity you have or something like that. it might be better for you, instead of putting money towards every month in a savings, put money towards a warranty on your house. Maybe you want to get a home warranty on your property as a full, just so some mini protections throughout the property. So factor those kind of things of what's the best solution for you if something goes wrong. Going to the next idea: piping, electrical, roof. David, you know a lot of these things. Why don't you jump in?
Yeah, that I'm just gonna tell you, I own investment properties. I've had different experience with them. And when you look at the piping is something you can simply do a $200, $300 test to look at the cast iron, look and see when it's going to go wrong, because it's not a matter if it goes wrong, it's a matter of when, if it's cast iron. Electrical, looking at upgrading panels, that's another huge thing. And the roof. I mean, the roof is a major issue. Next thing is you're looking at the property. It may have originally been a single family house, and now it was converted into a 2-unit place. Was all the work permitted or non-permitted? And did the person just go in there and do it half butted, and then it looks pretty, but the underneath it is very ugly? You need to really know this, and that's you, Vinny. That's the most important thing as a realtor, and really knowing.
I mean, looking at properties, you'll see some properties, and I won't say the different communities, but you'll see some properties that they might have added another ADU or granny flat, whatever you want to call it. They converted the garage, and now they're renting it out. And they'll have that. I mean, they can have that, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and no one says anything. But all you need is that one person to say something about it, and now there could be an issue. So be aware of that when you're purchasing the property. You're going to get a home inspection. More than likely, you're getting a home inspection. So really factor that in.
I put that on there. This is another interesting thing about properties is a lot of people, they look at it and they go, what is the accessibility of the property? How is the parking? How easy is it to get in and out of it? Which is, another thing that people really think of. And then we'll jump into this question. So sorry about that. Let me finish up the train of thought. Is accessibility. If you think about it, if you rent a place and every time you come home, you have to search for parking and it takes you 15 minutes, that probably makes you bitter, which means the landlord can't charge you as much rent. So accessibility to your property and parking is key. And there's a lot of areas in San Diego that have very bad parking. And Vinny didn't mention it. The other thing about conversions and things like that, I'm just going to jump in real quick and say Claremont has a lot of garages converted into rental units, and then there's nowhere to park. So kind of hard.
Do you want to answer that question? I mean, do you know what Propuesta is?
No, it would be cheaper. Propuesta be cheaper.
The Propuesta?
Oh, it's the property. Maybe it's the property. Okay. So I think George, if you have the property be lower, I think that's suffers the same thing I have where I misspell things.
Possibly might be that. Yeah. So if you're just joining us, some properties have been reduced in pricing, yet as the rate of property selling compared to properties that are going on the market, we're still selling at a fairly higher rate of properties because we have a shortage of inventory. Yet properties probably about 700 and up, we have seen a dip in pricing. So if you're looking for duplexes, triplexes, multi-units above 700, you are seeing a dip in pricing. So yes and no. If you're looking for 700 under, properties that maybe don't have 3D tours, that are not shown well, if they don't have good pictures, those can get a little more value now because they're less. Some sellers are scared of getting people into the property. So yes, there can be. You just have to talk to someone about that.
And the other thing is
no problem about that.
No, don't worry about it. The other thing is I'll say this is, if the other person selling the property hired a bad agent and gives them bad advice, that property will sell cheaper, which is great for you. And then once again, reinforces you want to hire the best agent you can so that you're not one of the victims that ends up selling your property for less because of misinformation.
Yeah. So parking. Okay. So know the property. I mean, in some communities, downtown, let's say Hillcrest, the more the metro area, parking is key. So ideally, if you have If it's a 2-bedroom and you only have 1 parking spot, it can be an issue getting the property rented. So be aware, talk to your realtor when you're purchasing the property, what you're looking to do and how much, what items you should really focus on.
Wow, these are other average things. Is the zoning legitimate? What's the average cost per square foot? I put the zoning in there because a lot of times, if you're more savvy, Vinny, I'm sure you've seen this. You come across a property that's a 2-unit place, but yet title says it's zoned for 4. That means you're buying a 2-unit place that has the possibility to turn it into 4 units later, which
you have to be careful about that, though. Just because the zoning says it's zoned 4, it could be the area that has a zone for 4. Yet that particular property doesn't have enough of a lot size to take on 4 units right there. So be very careful about that. Talk to your realtor, talk to title, talk to the people, just to get clarification that you can build 4 units on the property based off of the lot size, because lots have been split up, they've been subdivided. So just be aware of that. You can't. If there's anyone watching right now, don't assume anything. Just get the facts, get the information. There's a lot of information out there. By talking to a trusted resource like myself or David, we'll be able to get you as much information as possible.
We're trying to cram a lot in this in a short time frame so that you guys can enjoy your day still too.
So what improvements can you do to bring in more rent? Now, for a condo, you can fix the inside of the property, you can beautify it, upgrades, get on the HOA. The HOA. So maybe you can help out, clean up their books, because that's probably one of the bigger things that helps in the sale. Get your complex VA, FHA approved. That always helps out actually the value. You'll see a difference in complex that aren't, that FHA approved and are, and VA approved and aren't. That's fairly easy. If you need help getting your complex VA or FHA approved, feel free to reach out to myself or David. We can walk you through that. For single family, like David talked about, David, why don't you jump into this? What kind of things can we do?
So if you look at single family and you go, what's the easiest way I can increase my rents? Well, first of all, you have the curb appeal. How's a place look from the outside? Second of all, when renters look at renting a place, they look at it and go, well, what other costs am I paying? Am I paying for gas, electric? Am I paying for water? What else am I paying? So if your place already is everything set up for energy efficient, that's huge. If your place is set up on low water usage, that's huge. That saves you a lot of money itself. Also, if you look at it and you go, I'm renting my single family house and there's maintenance on it, as far as what I mean is taking care of the lawn, the trees, everything. Renters don't take so good care of that. So if you actually have someone take care of it and then you advertise, hey, you don't have to take care of the yard, you don't have to do any of this, and I have low water usage for a low water bill, and I have low electric bills, that increases the value that people want to live there in your property, because people like simple, and the less the renter has to do, the better it is for them.
Yeah, you can also factor in, let's say, in the cost of rent, you're also taking on the electric bill. Maybe you get solar panels on the property. If you talk to different solar panel companies, they'll say as the cost per wattage is going up, of paying basically the grid compared to getting panels on your property, over time you'll start saving money. So things to really factor in of what you want to do to the property to make it more friendly. Beautifying the property can play a big factor. Putting greenery in a property is a fairly cheap way to build extra eyes on a property, especially for maybe a 4-plex or a 3-plex. Having a kind of an outside area that people can relax on. What would you want if you're renting a property? Think about it like that way.
Very true. So we put that in there. It's like you're spending money on a house. You don't want one side or the other side dip too heavily, because you're making an investment here. You don't want to pay too much money and get too little of a house. You don't want to, spend too little of money and get a money pit either. So we just put a scale in there. You want to do a balancing act of making sure that what you're buying does fit your goals. Learn about mortgages, and a great CPA can help you with tax benefits. We put this in here just because CPAs a great resource for non-owner occupied properties. It definitely looks at what you can write off now with a great CPA. And well, for your mortgages, well, when you finance a duplex, a single family residence, a 3 or 4 unit place, duplexes, the rate's a little bit higher. 3 to 4 unit places, it's even a little more higher as well. Different down payments will vary. We put all this in here. We don't want to bore you with a bunch of mortgage stuff, so we just put a little bit of slides in here, but the down payments will vary on duplex and triplex and single family. So you want to take that into consideration. And then if you
something to jump in there fast, something to factor in when you talk to your lender, there's going to be a difference between an investment property and your vacation property. It's based off of the distance from your primary residence. So talk to a lender of how you're going to structure that loan too.
Absolutely. The non-owner occupied properties, it's a higher rate, but it's going to give you more of a tax deduction as well. And CPA will definitely help you out with that. CPA will also help you if you start leveraging properties and exchanging them, like the 1031 Vinnie. That's pretty famous. Do you want to touch on that really quick? I know that that's a big thing that goes on here in San Diego.
Yeah, so you're rolling over. So let's say you have one investment property and you're rolling over the proceeds to the next one. You have to purchase the property that costs more, or you can put some smaller property, maybe 2 units together, and then sell those both, and then purchase something that costs more. And you roll over the capital gain into the new property. There's a lot of ins and outs that go with the 1031 exchange. You're going to want your CPA, some other trusted individuals to get involved. If you need help with that, if you have questions about doing a 1031, feel free to reach out to myself or David, and we kind of walk you through the process of how we can structure it with selling your investment properties and also purchasing your new investment property that maybe has a higher cap.
Let's see. Oh, I put this in here. Make friends with an honest contractor. Honest contractor is key. You need someone that can actually help you with repairs, that gives you a good price, a fair price, and is honest and is there to help you and is not trying to basically make a ton of money off you on one job.
That is huge. I mean, there's a lot of people in especially different professions, but in the construction, I mean, that was a field that I was in for a little while. And if you don't know what you don't know, you can get charged more than you should get charged.
More than you'll ever know?
Yeah. I mean, that's how I feel like when I go to the dealership. I don't know a lot about cars. When I go to the dealership, oh my gosh. Oh, your widget's broken. What? My widget? Widget? I guess you say it's broken. All right.
Yeah, your flux capacitor is broken again, Vinny. It's terrible. Yeah. Oh, so we put this on here. We just did 3 formulas to help you guys. This is kind of really important. Like, I really wish the font wasn't so small. We're gotta really work on this. We did cash on cash returns because you want to see what are you making on your return on your investment on your cash. That's a simple formula right there to look at it. It's something I would recommend you writing down and using when you start looking at properties with a good agent, because you want to know what's the rate of return on your cash. Net operating income. Well, you're buying a rental property to make income. So you want to look at it and go, how am I looking at my net operating income? What is it? And is it going to meet my goals? Does it help me? These slides right here, those of you watching, you may want to screenshot these. These are really unique. It's a great way to look at it and start looking at, when you look at properties with your agent, to look at this and go, hey, what's my cash on cash returns? What's net operating income? And then what's my payback period? You worked hard to save all this money. When do I get paid back?
Yeah, I mean, if you want access to these slides, feel free to reach out to you. We can send those off to you too. Comment on here or reach out to myself or David.
I know we're at 45 minutes now. We're trying to wrap it up soon because we know that you got a busy day ahead of you.
So what else do you do to protect yourself? Learn California rental laws. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's a lot of protection out there for renters. Hire a high qualified realtor to help you and lender. No, not so. This was miswritten right here. So hire a highly qualified realtor and hire a highly qualified lender. So you don't want to go with a good realtor and like a part-time lender, and then vice versa, a part-time realtor and a good lender. It's like having I don't know, maybe instead of having peanut butter and jelly, you have maybe peanut butter and ketchup. It wouldn't taste that well with peanut butter and ketchup. So go with the peanut butter and jelly, right?
Wow, that was a keeper, Vinny. I'll tell you. Peanut butter and ketchup. That's a keeper, my friend.
Property managers, do you need one to learn the cost? Yeah, each property manager is different. I mean, the cost usually varies between 6 and 8% based off of where they sit in the process. If the first month, if they're helping you get the tenant, compared to if it's the second month, third month, and fourth month. So be very aware if you're going to use a property manager and what they're offering for their services.
Ooh, plan on things going wrong. Self-explanatory.
Great insurance is better than cheap insurance. You might be dealing with, State Farm, whoever it is right now. Talk to different insurance carriers and tell them the situation, what you're looking to do, just so you're fully protected. It helps out to have these warranties, these things in place to protect you, especially if this is your first rental, because you have a lot of eggs in this basket right here. So you want to make sure it goes well, so it allows you the opportunity for your next investment.
Absolutely. Realize you're playing the long game to create wealth. Be prepared to take some risks that are calculated. Cash is king or queen. You need to operate and ensure you need to operate this investment so that you can sleep at night. If you spend all your cash and you can't sleep at night, it wasn't a good investment.
Buy rental units, live in one for a while as you fix it up. If you're a single guy, that could be a great avenue right there. If you have a significant other and they're on board with the same situation, or you're a single woman and you can do it. Buy one property, maybe a triplex or a fourplex, live in one, rent out the other one, kind of help you out so you have the renters helping you out with your monthly payment. Now, if you have a family with kids, it might be difficult for them wanting to do that, yet all situations are different. Always look for equal increased rent.
Look for ways to decrease cost. Another thing to think about.
Yeah, don't screw over your tenants. There's a lot of rights in California, but also too, I believe the idea of karma. It does play a factor. So do right by them, more than likely do right by you. If you have a good tenant in place, that's going to make a world of difference. They're probably going to call you less about repairs on the property. They might take care of the repairs themselves. Have a good tenant, have a good relationship, do the good screening process. Life's going to be a lot easier.
Yep, take the high road. Now that you get the basics, go look at properties. Make sure, once again, the same message. We've kind of said this a few times is great realtor, great lender, super important.
Yeah. So hire a great agent and a great lender, not just a lender. Remember, you want peanut butter and jelly, not peanut butter and ketchup. I'm gonna start using that now.
I gotta tell you, I think that's the best one I've heard. So just to stay in line here, look at the basics. You're looking at properties. You want to look at the rents, the improvements. You want to look at geographical areas like we went over. All that stuff's important,
Use the formulas. And again, if you need access to the formulas, feel free to reach out to myself or David.
And know your goals. Once again, look at everything. The goal is here for you to make money. The goal is not for you to lose money. You want to buy that house and have it make you money. That's it. We're done, my friend.
Boom. There we go.
Look at that.
Every time I see my picture, Photoshop right there. Love it.
Yeah. Well, we look, at least I think I look way better in that picture. So.
Well, so everyone, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or David. We'd love to help out. We're under an hour. Hopefully everyone enjoys their Mother's Day tomorrow. Again, if you have any questions, any final words you want to throw out there, David?
Just be careful of that peanut butter and ketchup sandwich. Make sure you choose the right property for your right goals. You don't want to have come across me and Vinnie later on. You're talking to us, we're fixing a situation, and you tell us you were the one guy that did peanut butter and ketchup and made a bad decision, and now you need help.
Sounds like a good send-off. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.